And joining me today on this opening edition of the third season of Cyclones FeverCast is the brand new play-by-play guy. He's going to be the second man in the booth, joining Stu Johnson. His name is Jake Eisenberg. And Jake, welcome to the FeverCast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Jake, you grew up on Long Island. You're a Port Washington kid. Grew up a Met fan. How did you get into baseball, and how did you get into broadcasting?
Well, I think I got into baseball kind of like anybody else my age by playing Little League and, having dreams of being a major league shortstop or something to that effect. But I started getting into broadcasting really when I realized that, there was no shot that I had any athletic ability to play at the major league level and, or even at the college level at that point. And, just kind of wanted to stay involved with baseball, and I started doing some broadcasting stuff in high school and in college, and really, really enjoyed it. And it's taken me here, so I've been very lucky so far.
And as you said, you grew up Port Washington, so you were a hop, skip, and a jump from Shea Stadium and Citi Field, and that's a great way to grow up. I grew up in Queens. I was a train ride away, so I kind of know the feeling about that.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I like you said, I grew up a hop, skip, and a jump away from Shea Stadium and Citi Field, and kind of grew up going to Shea Stadium with my family and sitting in those, green mezzanine seats or those orange field box seats on, special occasions. And, we'd take the Long Island Railroad out from the Port Washington line to, that station that's now called Mets Willets Point, or,
Right.
We'd drive out there sometimes. And, I was at the last game at Shea. I was at, I think, the first or second game at Citi Field. So it's it's been a part of my childhood, and now it's a part, I guess, of my young adolescence.
And it's great to be connected with the Mets again, as far as you're concerned, I would imagine. And I'm a little older than you. I actually go back to the Polar Grounds. I go remember the '62 Mets vividly, and so I'm an old guy, but
That's a little bit before my time.
yeah. But we share the love of Mets. That bridges the generation
Exactly.
gap.
Exactly. I've now seen two World Series appearances, I guess, 2000 and 2015, and I was lucky enough to be at a couple of the games in 2015, and it's just a really cool thing, and hopefully, the Mets can get one back and win the whole thing.
Well, you're going to be watching some of these developing guys, the guys that are coming into the future, being in a booth with the Brooklyn Cyclones, and we're going to talk today a lot more about you, and because there's not really a lot known about the Cyclones so far this year. We'll probably see some guys that played in Kingsport last year, maybe even a holdover, who knows, but probably some draft picks, but that's yet to be determined. That's got to be a little rough on you getting prepared for the season.
Well, it doesn't make things necessarily easier, but it's a nice little challenge because, we'll end up getting the list of players who are going to be here in Brooklyn with us and getting to learn about them and meet them in person and turning around and getting going on Monday. I mean, the lucky thing is that, growing up a Mets fan and being a Mets fan, that I kind of know this organization maybe a little bit better than others in terms of the guys who might have been here last year or guys who are in Kingsport or the Gulf Coast League. And, being in college baseball for the past few years, I know some of the college baseball names a little bit better than I might otherwise. So there is an air of familiarity to whatever this roster is going to end up looking like that, will certainly help a little bit, I think.
Without a doubt, without a doubt, and you mentioned college baseball. You had a career calling Maryland baseball, and also called some Cape Cod League baseball. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, Maryland baseball was just one of the greatest opportunities of my life so far. We started our own kind of radio network to cover the Maryland baseball team, and ended up working really closely with the administration that was for Maryland baseball, the coaching staff, the players. Ended up traveling with them for the past 3 years with the Maryland Baseball Network. And, the Maryland Baseball Network kind of established itself as not only the flagship station for the Maryland broadcasts, but also a website, MarylandBaseballNetwork.com, that, covers the team with game recaps, feature stories. We do a weekly podcast, and it was just a really cool experience to be a part of that program, even just a small part of that program. And if not for the experiences that I had there, I don't think there's I don't think there's any doubt that there's no way that I would have been ready, qualified, any sort of the word for going up to the Cape Cod Baseball League last summer with the Chatham Anglers, or even being here this summer with the Cyclones. There's no way that I would have been nearly as prepared or experienced if not for Maryland baseball. So just a really unique experience that afforded me the ability to travel to a lot of cool different places with that team and get a lot of innings under my belt and experience calling games and figuring out what works, what doesn't, what my personality is on the air, things like that. And it was very much a trial and error period for the last 2.5 years that I don't know what I would be or where I would be without it.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that the how big this Cape Cod League really is. It's really a unique situation. For those that don't know, it's essentially a wooden bat league for a lot of the high prospects, the high college player prospects, I guess you'd say, and it's really quite a big thing now.
Yeah, it's one of the premier college baseball summer leagues in the country. It actually is the premier college baseball summer league in the country. There's a number of Hall of Famers who have played there. Frank Thomas, Jeff Bagwell among them. Jeff Bagwell was actually a Chatham Angler back in the 1980s. And it's also become an area not only for, college prospects for players to go, but also college broadcasters. So, every team has 2 broadcasters who are at the college level, and, we all get to know one another and hone our skills. And it's kind of the first experience that we all have of doing games every single day instead of at the college level where it's 3 games on a weekend, 1 in the middle of the week. I mean, up in Chatham, it was 49 games in 62 days. So you really get a feel for that grind of a longer baseball season or a longer baseball summer. And not only that, you get to know a lot of the top college prospects and a lot of the guys who are in that league. And, just going through the draft and looking at the draft, especially on the Mets side of things, there are a number of Cape League alums and Cape League All-Star alums that are on the Mets draft roster, so to speak. Quinn Brody, the 3rd-round pick, Tony DeBrill in the 4th round, Matt Winokur in the 5th round, all Cape guys, Stephen Valines in the 10th round, Matt Deuce in the 14th round. These are all guys that played in the Cape last summer or another. And I could keep going on with his list of draft picks. Stadjar is another. So these are guys that I've seen before in one way or another, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very neat that you have that'll help you in the booth if these guys sign and they end up in Brooklyn, because you'll have some knowledge, and I guess it would help you on the field too, because you have a little bit of a knowledge of these guys, and talking to them will be a great help again.
Absolutely. I mean, and especially guys like, I don't know where they're going to end up necessarily in the Mets system, or if they're necessarily going to sign. That's up to them. But guys like Tony DeBrill and Jeremy Vasquez were players in Chatham last summer, so I know them, personally, which is kind of a cool thing. And when I saw their names go on the Mets draft board, that was kind of exciting.
Well, if last year is any indication at all, a lot of the guys that they drafted in college went to the Cyclones, and that's why there was such a vast turnover as they were waiting for the College World Series to end, and so on. But it would make sense in a way that a lot of the college guys would end up in Brooklyn, and because they have a season already. The high school kids, they usually put them lower, I guess, with kids more their age, and so it's going to be an interesting thing when the roster finally does come out. I guess Monday morning we'll find out.
I'll find out soon enough, I'm sure.
Yes. So you've had all of this great experience, and you also had some other interesting internships on your way to this current position. How about talking a little bit about those?
Sure. So when I was a freshman in college, the summer after my freshman year, it was the sort of thing where if I could find something to do, from a career standpoint, then I wanted to do it. But if I didn't find anything, I wasn't going to be too upset because I was only a freshman. And through a couple of connections and a lot of luck, I ended up getting an internship at SNY, the TV home of the Mets, and met a bunch of people over there. And I think, honestly, without that internship, there's no way that I would have ended up in any of the other places that I've been because, I kind of walked into that newsroom as a completely unexperienced, didn't really know much about anything on the television production side, and all the people in that newsroom, from the producers to the graphics people, the writers, the anchors, so on and so forth, taught me so much, and I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity to be there. And the people that I met there helped me get to the other places like MLB Network and Around the Horn and things like that. But it all started there at SNY. So I guess Gary, it really all does funnel back to the Mets, and I just can't. It's kind of incredible how much this Mets organization has already provided me with from an opportunity standpoint.
And it just seems to keep coming back. It circles back. Your whole circle of life or circle of career life comes back to the Mets all the time, and that's a great thing for a hometown kid.
Would you have it any other way?
No, not at all. Not at all. Now, Jake, how exactly did this job open up, and how were you able to find out about it, and how were you? What was the selection process like for you?
So again, it was a lot of luck. And the first stroke of luck was that the winter meetings this year were in Washington D.C., which is only about 15-20 minutes away from the University of Maryland. So once I saw that it was going to be there, well, I mean, I had to go. It was just a short drive away. So I signed up. I went. There's a big job fair, and a bunch of jobs are posted around minor league baseball and the like, and a bunch of people that you can meet and talk to. And the Brooklyn Cyclones job was one of them. And I saw that job, and as soon as I saw it, I sent an email out to Stu because, funny enough, I had met Stu at the 2015 World Series. He was sitting a row in front of me for one of the games that I was at, and we had gotten to talking, and he mentioned that he was doing the Cyclones games, and I was then I think a sophomore or a junior in college doing some broadcasting in Maryland. So, we exchanged emails. I sent him a few things. He gave me some great advice on broadcasting. We stayed in touch. And when I saw that job open, I shot him an email. I said, hey, what's this all about? Is this something that, you think I would be good for? And he said, absolutely. Reach out to Billy Harner, the director of communications. Reached out to him, threw my name in the hat, got an interview, spoke to Billy in D.C., and then it was just kind of a wait and see, and I got really lucky.
It just sounds fantastic and really great for you. I mean, this has got to be the dream job. Of course, the dream job, I guess, would be calling the Mets games, but this has got to be the closest thing to it.
I mean, I could not ask for a better place to be or to start. There's no question that this is a harmonious thing.
And, Brooklyn is, I know you've probably been in a booth already there and everything, and it's pretty big league compared to some of the other, towns you're going to run into in the New York Penn League, though there's a lot of feeling of what am I trying to say here? It's getting better. There's a lot of the teams around the league are making improvements in the stadiums, and this league is really it's one of the oldest minor league systems going, but it's really made a lot of jumps the last few years as far as improvements, and it's really a great place to be.
Yeah, MCU Park is absolutely stunning. I mean, you sit up in the press box or even down at the field level, there's not a bad seat in the house, I've realized. Right. And you just look out and you got the roller coaster behind the left field wall and, the water and the beach behind the right field wall. And it honestly could not be a more perfect backdrop for a baseball field. And it's in a really cool place, too. Coney Island is unlike really anything else in the entire country, even in the city. So it's a really unique area to begin with. The fact that Nathan's Hot Dogs is right down the street, and the Mermaid Parade is today, and things like that. You don't get that in other places in the country or in the New York Penn League, like Batavia or State College, right, or Vermont. You don't get that in those places. So MCU Park is really kind of a diamond in the middle of Coney Island, and it's literally a diamond in the middle of Coney Island, and it's really special.
Well, I don't know if you've been to Richmond County Ballpark in Staten Island, but you're going to find that's another great view. Looking out over the skyline of the city is really great. And
I'll be there on Monday.
Yes, you will. And you should really. It's going to be quite the sight. A number of the other play-by-play guys tell me that they find it to be the best view in all of the league. Now, have you made contact, or have you ever run into any of the other announcers in the league?
I've run into a couple of them and know a couple of them from other places. The voice of the Batavia Musk Dogs last year, Johnny Wincott, is a former Chatham Angler broadcaster, so I was talking to him about a couple things. He's not with the Muck Dogs this season. He's with the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, the number 2 voice, Tim Hyman. But I also know Evan Stockton, who's going to be the voice of the Auburn Doubledays. Evan was my broadcast partner in Chatham last summer. So we both ended up in the New York Penn League, which is really cool. And when we both saw the schedule and realized that Brooklyn and Auburn weren't going to play each other, needless to say, we were a little bit disappointed that we wouldn't get to see each other over the course of the season. But I'm excited to meet all the other broadcasters in the league and pick their brains and learn stories from them about, the players on the teams that they're covering. And, there's always a real nice camaraderie between broadcasters in the league.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nice guys in the league. John Leahy, Lowell Spinners is one of the he's a great announcer, and I hope you get to pick his brain because he's really a cool guy, and just so many of them. So you're going to have a great time as you go around the league and get to know these people, and I'm envious of you.
I've said it many times, Gary. I could not be luckier to be where I am.
Well, now, so you're going to be the number 2 guy in the booth with Stu Johnson, and so what are your responsibilities going to be overall, both in the booth and outside of the booth?
So in the booth, I'll be with Stu doing color commentary for most of the game and play-by-play for a few innings. Outside the booth, I'll be helping with some other media stuff, whether it be the pregame show down on the field and the video board, or Facebook Live videos that we do before every game, game notes, game recaps, interviews before and after the game with the coaches and players. Just really helping out in any way that I can to make Stu's job easier and Billy's job easier and make Cyclones baseball fun and available to everybody.
Now, will you be also handling press credentials, that sort of thing, and game notes? Well, I think you mentioned game notes already, but is that kind of thing that you'll be involved in?
I don't think that I have a hand in credentialing. They haven't told me that. I'm going to be helping out with game notes a little bit. But, yeah, I'm kind of just going to fill in and help out wherever they need me.
Well, it sounds great, and I want to wish you the best of luck. You sound like a nice young man, and I heard a little bit of your calls from some stuff that you did at Maryland, and I'm excited to hear you on Cyclones Baseball this year, and I'm excited for the Cyclones to start this year. Can't wait.
You and me both. You and me both. We're only 48 hours away.
It's exciting. So tell the people where they can follow you on social media.
Sure. So I guess if you care to follow me at all, whether you find that interesting or not, my Twitter handle is my name at Jake Eisenberg with an underscore at the end. I'll be posting pictures and links to the broadcast and things like that. My Instagram handle is the same, Jake Eisenberg with an underscore at the end of it. If you like pictures of baseball fields and pretty much nothing else. So yeah, that's where people can find me. And of course, you can follow the Cyclones at BK Cyclones if you're not already. The Facebook page, facebook.com/Brooklyn Cyclones. And check out the website too. It's a brand new website that is really, really nicely put together. It's got some great links to all the promotion packages, the schedule, some really cool promotions coming up. There's a new Listen Live page where you can listen to Cyclones games right on the website. So give BrooklynCyclones.com a shot on your webpage and take a look at it.
Terrific information. And again, Jake, the best of luck in the upcoming year. And thanks so much for coming on to this third season opener for me of the FeverCast, and I hope to see you at the ballpark.
My pleasure, Gary. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to meeting you in person.
You're very welcome. And we'll